Good day to you all. It's me, Omar Ford, managing editor of MDDI, back again with another video. And as you can see, since my last entry or my last video, still haven't cut my hair, still wearing the hat, still haven't been to the barber shop. In fact, I haven't been to the barber shop since I'd rather not say. But let's just say there have been some interesting discussions in my house, and I think by the next video, you'll see a definite change and I won't be wearing the hat anymore. So there's that. Um, Also, you might have noticed that there's a pretty plain background here. So there's not a lot to look at, just pretty boring. Well, the answer to that is that we just moved into our house, and I actually don't have my office space set up yet. So I'm using a room adjacent to to my 6-year-old son Moses's room to kind of set up shop and have a mini office. It's pretty cool because he charges me about $1 a day rent, which means he's racking up, every time I use this. But it's pretty cool. So every now and then you might see him pop in and out here, and I could edit it out, but I might just keep it in. But you probably aren't here to hear about my family or my haircut woes. You're probably wondering what today's discussion or topic is about, and wanted to talk a little bit about the emergence of Fitbit as a stronger player in the medtech industry. And it is one of those companies that is, you could almost call it an unlikely player. However, it is becoming more and more dominant in medtech. Now, I understand that Fitbit is in the process of being acquired by Google, and don't know where that's going. I know that there had been some kind of discussion or had come under fire over this merger. So don't know where that is yet or where it stands. I wrote about it maybe about a month ago, and have to do a follow up soon. But for the purposes of this discussion, I'm just talking about Fitbit. And where it's been at and what it's been doing over the last few months. And I'm gonna look over here on my screen, if you'll indulge me a little bit, to talk to you about why I think Fitbit is becoming a more prominent player in medtech. And I don't know if you all recalled or if you all saw this, but about 7 days ago, I wrote an article or earlier this month. Well, it's still early in the month, still June, still early. Um, I wrote about Fitbit getting a new emergency use authorization for a low cost emergency ventilator. And, this was pretty big news because it was Fitbit, because this company is making moves, I think, that are similar to what Google slash Verily did and what Apple did a while back. And I'll get into that later and I'll explain my rationale behind that in a second. But what I've noticed, especially with Fitbit, is with this EUA, they're attacking a pretty good market, the ventilator market amid the COVID-19 pandemic. It's easy access, easy entry. It kind of establishes Fitbit as a company that's serious, that is serious about medtech and that is looking to make just some definite penetration in the space. Um, but why is this? Why does this stand out to me? Why is this so important? Why isn't this just a one-off? Well, Fitbit has kind of been working uh, for years now. They've kind of been doing things. Excuse me, they recently launched a large scale study to validate the use of their wearable technology to identify atrial fibrillation in patients. That's one thing that they did. And in 2017, if we go back even further, Fitbit stepped into the diabetes arena through a collaboration with Dexcom. And that was pretty big news back then. So, and there's some other things as well, but Fitbit is going on this constant or this consistent pattern of penetrating the medical device industry, of perhaps fostering a stronger presence there. Now, I told you I'd get back to Google slash Verily and Apple, and this is the same playbook that Google slash Verily used in 2014. If you and for simplicity's sake, I'm gonna call it Google. What Google did, and I know it changed its name. The Verily is like the life sciences division of Google that spun out in Alphabet. They're all under the Alphabet umbrella right now. But for simplicity's sake, I'll just say Google. Please don't get mad at me, anybody. I'm just going to say that to keep this succinct. But what happened in 2014 was Google partnered with Novartis, and they were going to make these contact lenses, these glucose detection contact lens, and that project kind of fell by the wayside. But the important thing out of that is Google kicked off a series of collaborations in the healthcare industry, in medtech, and many of them were low-hanging fruit just to get their foot in the door, to kind of become the premier partner for medtech companies, almost to brand themselves like, hey, it's cool if you can, work with Google slash Verily. We're here. We've had experience here, and we're moving along those lines. So Google did that. Apple began doing the same thing a little bit. Apple really began getting clearances and FDA nods, and I think it's so important that we talk about that for a little bit. Apple really made an impact. I believe it was in 2018, 2019. I'll have to go back and look. I think it's in 2018. But Apple received a clearance for its watch to an ECG app for the Apple Watch, and it was in 2018. Sorry, the time is passing by so fast. They received this to help classify whether there are signs of AFib, and they got an FDA clearance for another software that analyzes pulse rates for irregular rhythms. Apple set the world on fire here. Now, it wasn't stellar technology. It wasn't anything that broke the mold in terms of innovation, but the fact that you had Apple doing it, and the spotlight was just on that space so much because Apple did that. But it also let people know, hey, Apple is getting into healthcare. Apple is getting into medtech. Apple is getting into diagnostics. They're a growing tech company, and they're having a stronger presence in healthcare. Now, same thing with Fitbit. Fitbit is moving at a rapid pace, in my opinion, and Fitbit is pretty much doing the same thing. They're taking this, they're going forward with this playbook, and they're establishing a dominant presence. It'll be interesting to see where Fitbit is a year or two from now. I understand they've got the whole merger with Google to contend with. Not to contend with, but they're going to be acquired by Google if everything works out. I realize that we still have that. But I'm wondering how much deeper penetration we'll see Fitbit have in the medtech industry. They are one of those unlikely players that could perhaps become a dominant player. And it's just very interesting to see its evolution. If anybody's been following my work over the years, I've written about Google and Verily, how Google has matured and kept moving, and how it's become the premier partner, and how many collaborations Google has been in, Verily has been in, and Apple as well. So Fitbit, I think, is the next big company, the next big thing on this list. And, again, it'll be interesting to see how far they go. They're getting in on the ground floor. They're tackling low-hanging fruit, not trying to reinvent the wheel, but at the same time, they're moving forward and they're getting a foothold in, and they're gaining more and more and more momentum in medtech. Well, anyhow, those are my thoughts on Fitbit, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know, shoot me some comments. I'll try and have some links to some past stories that I've referenced here, but let me know what you think, and maybe next time I'll have a haircut. I think I definitely will need one because it's my wife's birthday this weekend, and she's gonna turn the big, redacted, can't tell her age, sorry. So she's about to have a pretty good birthday. I was gonna say another word that would give it away, but I caught myself. Anyhow, yeah, and I'll definitely have to clean this up for her. So next time, the hat will be gone, this will be cleaned up, and you'll see the hair and not the Brillo pad that's on my head right now. Anyhow, take care and hope you all have a good day. Bye.